Serving Guam and Micronesia for 20 years. The all-new 2018 Kona by Hyundai, available at Cars Plus. IP&E, fueling excellence. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurant, located in Tamuning and Dededo. Always open, always local.
Coming up on your primetime news, law enforcement officers fighting for their retirement pay. They meet with the GFT on that very issue. Plus, political candidates' questionable donations and expenditures. The Election Commission discusses that issue tonight. And the charter school put on notice is struggling to find a new home for next school year. Have a day, everybody, and good evening. A Guam police major just wants to retire and get the money that he says he's owed after years of service to the island's public sector.
He's taken legal action. GFT is meeting this hour with current and retired officers who face the same problem. Carmen Terlahi has the story.
Fred Chargaloff wants the retirement monetary benefits he deserves after working for GovGuam for over 30 years.
I'm just asking for what is rightfully what I earned and I deserve. Because I did work it, obviously my W-2 says it. So the bottom line is that I didn't put myself in this predicament. It was the government.
He says the problem dates back to 2008 when a bill introduced by Senator Adolfo Palacios to increase compensation to police officers and law enforcement by 40% became law. The 40% was paid in increments, Chargaloff receiving 10% in 2008 and another 10% in 2009. But in 2010 and 2011, they weren't paid until later, in lump sum. This affecting the way his retirement funds are calculated.
I said, this can't be, this is off. And I asked him, I said, why? I said, you know, your 2013, is your number that you're claiming I've earned that year is still what's reflective on my W-2. And they said, well, you know, sir, what do you mean? I says, well, my W-2 is $37,000 more than what you're saying I'm earning.
$37,000 to be exact. That wasn't adding up. Most recently, in December of last year, the retirement fund refused to interpret the calculations to include this amount, which is why the GFT union is hoping the court will resolve the issue for not just Chargaloff, but other law enforcement.
So GFT just wants to advance on behalf of these GovGuam employees justice and what they've earned over all their years of good service. Now that they're getting ready to retire, they should get what they worked for and what they deserved.
Thursday night's meeting will include talks with all GovGuam employees who are facing the same dilemma. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Carmen Victoria Terlahi.
Thanks, Carmen. The laws are in place and must be followed. The Guam Election Commission is meeting tonight looking at the campaign finances for several candidates running this year.
Now, this comes after stories aired on KUAM News that did show that some may have skipped a step. Chris Barnett reports from that meeting tonight. Chris.
Thanks, Maria and Jace. I just spoke with Maria Pangilinan, and she's, of course, the GEC Executive Director, and she confirmed with me that campaign finance, now specifically campaign finance violations as reported on KUAM News, will definitely be a topic of discussion at the GEC's board meeting tonight. I have more information for you guys on how at least a couple gubernatorial candidates may find themselves the subject of scrutiny by the GEC.
Where do we go from here? The Guam Election Commission Board expected to advise GEC staff on how to proceed with a slew of political candidates' questionable donations and expenditures. The apparent violations documented in KUAM News stories ranging from over-the-limit contributions to questionable spending of campaign funds. And everyone, from senators to gubernatorial candidates, seems to be in on the action. The Bota team accepting over-the-limit donations from RKM Property Group and individuals, raising eyebrows at the GEC. There's no statute of limitations on campaign finance violations. Senator Tommy Morrison finds himself under scrutiny after he admitted to KUAM News he used campaign funds to donate to charities and community organizations.
Special Olympics, Guam Moms Helping Moms, American Cancer Society, youth organizations, and many sports teams. It's hard for us to say no.
Spending campaign cash on anything that doesn't directly promote a candidate or a campaign?
That's maybe saying you're buying a vote.
Morrison says buying votes was not his intention when he gave donations, and he argues giving money to charities hasn't helped him at the polls. Since he first ran 3 terms ago, he's placed lower in every election.
My first term, I was the top 5 vote getters. I guess over the years with the contributions, you can see, I guess, it doesn't seem to be buying any votes. It was never intent to buy any votes. We never forced anybody to do any favors for us or put even a logo on their shirts or banners. You know, we just wanted to help.
Morrison isn't the only one being looked at. Public Auditor Doris Flores Brooks's questionable spending of campaign funds spurred the GEC to send her a letter asking for clarification. An examination of Brooks's campaign finance reports revealed she gave OPA employees gifts and cash and even gave Chinchuli with campaign funds. Senator Michael St. ironically the GEC's legislative oversight chair, received a $3,000 donation from Cortec and over-the-limit donations from the Lujan family. Regarding a donation thousands of dollars over the legal limit, Legislative Majority Leader Senator Tom Atta telling KUAM News someone like St. Nicholas should have known better.
It's your campaign. It's your campaign funds. You've got to manage it.
Senator Jim Espaldon also the subject of scrutiny for his donations to sports teams and his acceptance of over-the-limit donations from EMSCO and NC Macario and Associates. Espaldon did not return calls for comment. Morrison says how candidates spend campaign funds should be re-examined because he says he's not the only one breaking the rules.
There should be some discussion on this because I think many of my colleagues or even past legislatures know exactly what I'm talking about.
An examination of Senator Dennis Rodriguez's 2016 campaign finance reports show sponsorships and donations to various community organizations like the Lions Club, Guam Women's Club, Korean Women's Association, Miss Earth Guam, Little Miss Sampaguita, and the Filipino Ladies Association of Guam. For Guam's News Network, Chris Barnett reports.
We'll have more on the GEC's board meeting tonight at KUAM.com. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Chris, for that report.
Moving on in tonight's news rundown, one local businessman warns about the individual financial implications of raising taxes. In a wide-ranging speech given before the Northern Guam Rotary Club, Money Resources President and Financial Advisor Carl Peterson spoke out against bigger government.
Taxes have a huge consequence in being able to accumulate wealth. It's really tough when you calculate it out. You think it's not much, that's why it's on small increments, but it is a huge consequence. The politician said we got to do it for the people. But literally every law increases the cost to the little guy, disproportionately more. So if the price of tuna goes up $1, the guy who makes 100,000 doesn't notice it quite as much as the guy who makes 10. Big difference, right? 10 times difference.
Peterson does say tax increases always hurt the little guy the worst. He says corporations do not pay taxes and they collect it from the products and services that they sell. He also had stern warnings about GovGuam retirement funds' unfunded liability of more than $1 billion, saying many free exemptions through the years have ballooned the amount, which eventually has to be paid.
I voted for what was right back then, and I will vote for what is right now. Those words from Senator Frank Uggan Jr., who's responding to his actions of the past, voting in favor of diverting $500,000 from the Territorial Highway Fund to the University of Guam. This after talks of funding for road projects whenever he introduced legislation to actually roll back a tax increase.
Now, Senator Uggan, a Democratic candidate for governor, of course, expressed concern with rising costs that include the increase in gas prices. His bill would repeal the 4-cent hike in the liquid fuel tax passed earlier this year, as Nestor Lecanto explains in our next report.
Uggan's bill would restore the fuel tax to its prior level. The tax is meant to fund village street improvements, but Uggan says there is already enough money without the increase to pay for the administration's road plans.
$2 million coming from federal funds, $1.8 million coming from the Guam Highway Fund appropriated by the legislature. So it tells me that on an annual basis,
worker visa approval process. The H-2B issue has been a sticking point for the island's chief executive, as Governor Calvo publicly announced withdrawal of support for the buildup, citing a nearly 100% visa rejection rate by the USCIS. The crisis has been eased by a provision in the 2018 defense budget bill that authorizes up to 4,000 workers for military-specific projects. But Governor Calvo is still waiting on similar federal agency approvals for civilian-specific projects.
The struggle goes on for the Guahan Academy Charter School. 2 interested bidders are forced to pull out from helping them find a new home.
The requirements are evidently strict as the Guam Academy Charter School awaits approval of its charter renewal. KUAM's Nick Delgado has more.
In need of a school facility, but nowhere closer to securing one, consulting and acting CEO of Guam's first charter school, Guahan Academies, Marilyn Manabusan, says they've since issued an invitation for bid. They've received 2 responses. However,
one withdrew because they did not read the IFB particularly. We limited the space within Barrigada, Manila, and Tijan. That was the restriction for where the space was. And they had properties outside those jurisdictions. The other interested party is no longer I guess it's the real landlord, but some of the properties are now under the MOU, the Tijan lease agreement with the government of Guam. So he's not a real party in interest anymore because that particular private venture, private person, entity has entered a lease with the government of Guam, and therefore the government of Guam is now using those properties with DOE. And that's why the negotiations are beginning now, because they are buildings located there.
The second party no longer in legal standing to bid. GAC's telling the charter school today that leaves them with 0 interested for now. This comes after GAC's got an eviction notice earlier this year due to 2 months of non-payment on rent. They've since been given until the summer to move out.
Obviously, facilities was a concern that was brought up just earlier this year. Also, their charter renewal is coming up. They did submit their application earlier this month. It's important to keep in mind that that application has not been approved for the renewal.
Council Chair Amanda Blas wanted answers about funding.
So this is under the assumption that the charter is renewed, because that would be obviously that would be the need for the new facility, right? So where would the funding come from for the IFB? Are you anticipating already for the next fiscal year? Are you looking at funding it from the current fiscal year?
Manabusan saying they are looking at the payment options for leasing a new facility for the GAC's middle and high school students.
We don't have the monies to build a new school, so we're going to go into lease. So the IFB specifically is for lease of buildings.
The council will meet with GAC's officials during a work session next week in hopes of finding a solution for the school and the students. Reporting for Guam's News Network, Guahusi Nick Delgado.
There are many more island news headlines on the flip side of this break, so please keep watching, keep streaming. Primetime continues right after this.
There are more ways to experience KUAM News than any other source on Guam. Download the KUAM News app for your Apple or Android device for 24/7 news, sports, videos, weather, streaming with KUAM radio, and important news alerts. And stay connected at home with Guam's first app for Apple TV. All available now from the App Store.
Half the day, I'm in the club.
Half a day, welcome to Two Lovers Point.
Half a day, I'm in the club.
There are more ways to experience Guam via KUAM News, giving you what you want, when you want, and how you want it. From smart devices, Alexa, what's in the news?
Here's your flash briefing.
Over the web, on mobile, on streaming platforms, with immersive, interactive formats, and via social media where it's more than just content, it's conversation. More ways to keep you informed and entertained whenever you want it, wherever you are, on whatever device you're using.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. The Justice Department is investigating our region's U.S. Attorney's Office. We initially reported that Chief Judge Francis Tadienko Gate would call for the investigation over concerns with their diversion program. A diversion means that defendants could possibly have their criminal record wiped clean at the end of their case, with the chief judge expressing concern during a federal counterfeit sentencing in February that it did include multiple defendants. She wanted the DOJ to look into the process to possibly determine if there are any violations of ethics, civil rights, or civil liabilities. DOJ Office of Professional Responsibility is currently reviewing the matter.
After recently being forced to close up a precinct and share responsibilities with other law enforcement agencies for financial reasons, GPD's top brass appeared before Island Rotarians to discuss the recent crime statistics and the different community initiatives his officers have taken on.
It's our next report with Kiani Mendiola.
He's the leader of the Men and Women in Blue. GPD Chief J.I. Cruz stood before Rotary members to speak on the island's public safety concerns, plus the community-oriented policing strategies, or COPS, that GPD is working on to rectify them. Armed with the presentation, Chief Cruz spoke on the current crime statistics on Guam, including areas surrounding the 4 precincts throughout the island that have been identified as hotspots of crime.
As we reach out to the business partners, as we reach out to the whole of the community, understanding where the hotspots are or the problem areas are is important, because that's how we're going to be able to effectuate that.
And based on these statistics, alcohol-related crimes, family violence, and disturbances are the most prevalent crimes experienced throughout the island to date. Though these areas may share similar problems, for Chief Cruz, a cookie-cutter style of policing simply will not do.
The crime up in Gigor, Dededo, is very different from the crime down south. And the needs of the people down south are very different from the needs of the people up north. So to be able to meet that, to better effectuate crime and drive crime down, the strategy policing is so that you specifically meet the needs of the communities.
Prompting the department to focus on proactive policing rather than reactive policing, which is why GPD's Mandania COPS initiatives focus on addressing 4 separate pillars.
Each pillar represents a certain initiative, something that we are doing to further embed ourselves with the community.
Like partnerships with the community, the youth, members of the freely associated states, and non-government organizations. And since the inception of some of these initiatives, GPD has seen significant returns, especially from the Neighborhood Watch Program's Mandania Drug Task Force, Alcohol Task Force, and Robbery Task Force, which have resulted in more arrests being made by GPD, to include with the help of residents.
Community policing truly addresses the needs of the community.
And Chief Cruz hopes to further the success of current initiatives as well as implement new ones, like an app.
We're getting ready to launch an application called Hands-On Intelligence. We're going to empower the community even more to be able to download that application so that as you see crime happening in progress, you can take a picture of it, you can video that, and shoot it to the Guam Police Department.
Chief Cruz is hopeful that by being more community-oriented, GPD would increase their progress in relieving crime on the island. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Kiani Mediola.
Thanks, Kiani. A Totu woman is under arrest after police raid her home and find drugs. Investigators received a tip of illegal drug activity before carrying out a search warrant on the suspect's home. 29-year-old Charlene Bernadette Cruz Untalan is charged with illegal possession of a Schedule II controlled substance, illegal possession of a Schedule II controlled substance with the intent to distribute, child abuse, and drug-free school zone. Police found about 5 grams of cocaine and drug paraphernalia inside the suspect's home.
A 46-year-old man has been captured for his alleged part in a Tamuning robbery reported back in February. Jonathan Torres Tatatao has been charged with theft of property, assault, and second-degree robbery. Police say the robbery was reported on February the 1st at the Bike Acupuncture Clinic located in the KJG building over in Tamuning. The incident was caught on camera, which helped investigators to identify the suspect. While authorities were conducting a follow-up at the suspect's home in Dededo, detectives were able to locate the possible suspect vehicle that was used during the alleged incident. The suspect was located at his home and taken into custody when he did confess to the robbery.
An update on the man charged with attempting to rape a woman over the weekend. Kevin John Certeza Roberts is already listed as a level 1 sex offender. The victims in his prior case only 9 and 12 years old. As reported, Roberts was picked up over the weekend after he and the victim went out for drinks. When the woman fell asleep in the car, she reportedly woke up to Roberts between her legs.
Staying with legal matters, the court should not have allowed a 4th woman to take the stand in the trial against former University of Guam psychology professor Dr. Michael Ellert. This is just one of the arguments in his brief filed in the Supreme Court of Guam. As reported, 3 females alleged they were sexually assaulted by Ellert at his Halloween house party. Yet jurors heard from a fourth woman who alleges she too was forced into sexual acts at a similar house party years prior. Dr. Ellert also argues the court could have given better instructions to jurors upon hearing the witness's testimony. Arguments are scheduled for the middle of May, while Dr. Ellert, who was convicted for 2 of the 3 alleged victims, was sentenced to a year and a half in jail. The court has allowed him to remain on house arrest pending appeal.
Also taking his case to the High Court, convicted sailor Quentin Bezon argues the trial court committed a clear and obvious plain error when it failed to give him a chance to address the court during a sentencing hearing, which he was prepared to do. Bezon was ultimately sentenced to 4 years in jail for criminal sexual conduct. Arguments are scheduled for June 12th.
We have the Evening at Island Sports coming up right after this break, but first, here is your island weather.
We're celebrating our 135th anniversary today, both in the outlying regions on which we hub and also here in Guam itself. It means so much to our team here in Guam. It means a lot to us in the Matson management team, because what it says is we're here to stay. It's a real physical manifestation of our commitment to this region. It's so important that we hire locally, we develop talent locally, we train locally. What's been a wonderful addition to our approach there is that many of the people who started off in Guam have gone off into significant leadership roles elsewhere in the company.
This is our headquarters here in Guam in Micronesia. And when we talk about putting down our roots, it's not just doing business, it's about everything we do with our friends, our customers, and our employees. I believe that nobody can replicate what we do, and that's why we have such a great team and such a great service and why we're successful. This is our home, this is our life, and we're happy to make a difference in everyone else's life.
We only have 30 seconds to describe the newest specialty flavor in the Signature Crafted Recipes collection by McDonald's, Garlic White Cheddar. It's layered with a slice of smooth, perfectly melty white cheddar cheese, a crunchy medley of tasty crispy garlic chips, a dramatic drizzle of smooth, delicious, and flavorful, delectably creamy garlic aioli, all come together with a mouth-wateringly juicy tomato slice and crisp iceberg lettuce atop crispy buttermilk chicken on a soft, warm artisan roll. Luckily, you can take all the time you need to savor every bite. The Signature Crafted Recipes collection by McDonald's.
KUAM Sports is presented by Triple J.
Dave Delgado here for KUAM Sports, brought to you by Triple J. The 2018 APL Smoker Wheels Racing Weekend kicks off tomorrow night at the drag strip in Jigo with drag racing. If you haven't got your tickets yet, get them now at all Foodies locations. Today was the press conference. Check it out. Competitors and sponsors on hand talking to the media this morning about this year's event. Some of the cars and trucks were on display for those in attendance to take pictures of, and for those who are competing in this year's Smoking Wheels, they got a first-hand look at their competition. The endurance race is now a 4-hour race compared to previous years where it was only 3 hours. Former 5-time champion Hanawa from Japan brought a big crew with him this time around and looks to be a contender again for this year's title.
You know, I won last year, but he broke down. So this year, hopefully we'll go head-to-head and both finish. And then also we got the Triple J truck. We got the Jones brothers, and so it'll be an exciting battle out there with the top Japanese and the top local drivers racing. So it'll be exciting.
Tickets are available at all Foodies locations. $10 for a day pass and $20 for the weekend pass for all 3 days. Children under 11 years old are free. No outside food and drinks or coolers will be allowed. Don't worry. There'll be lots of ice-cold refreshments and snacks and food from local vendors, plate lunch vendors, and food trucks throughout the event weekend. DPR Gov Guam Co-Ed Volleyball League, the Eagles improved to 5-0 after their 2-set win over the Tradesmen. The Eagles led the first set by as many as 17 points. The Tradesmen fought back to put together a 5-point rally, but eventually lost the set 25-12. The Eagles took the second set 26-24. They are tied for first place with CL Titano Elementary School in the Tanao Division. GMHA got the win over Team GCC in 3 sets, 20-25, 25-12, 16-14 to improve to 5-1. GMHA moves into first place in the Tossie Division. Matches for tomorrow evening. OPA takes on the Tradesmen at 6:30. GPWA versus Depcor at 7:30. And DOA versus the Wildcats at 8:30. U15 girls national team tryouts take place this Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 1 in the afternoon at the Guam National Basketball Training Center in Teason. Make sure to bring a copy of your birth certificate, a U.S. passport, complete your player registration forms. Players must be born January 1st, 2003 or later and must have at least 4 years of residency and hold a U.S. passport. Interested players must attend to be considered for the FIBA U15 Oceania Championships to be held in Papua New Guinea in December of 2018. Please ensure player registration forms are filled out prior to your child's participation. For more information, call Coach Eddie Pelkey at 888-0370 or email eddiepelkey@gmail.com. Well, that's going to do it for sports. We're back right after this.
Come out for the 4th annual Chucky Run and Fun 5K, 2K, and Flyaway giveaway. Join us Saturday, April 14th at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam. Show at 5:30 and go at 6 a.m. T-shirts, medals, and other cool prizes, refreshments, and indoor activities after the races. Grand prize drawing for all participants is a trip package for 2 to Manila. Register at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam. $8 for students, $12 for adults, and group of 4 Super Saver for just $35. The 4th annual Chuck E. Run and Fun 5K, 2K, and Flyaway giveaway. See you there.
Guam is more than a tiny island in the Pacific. This magical place is where I call home. This island inspires me to learn and explore what's around me. It teaches me that there are no shortcuts in life and that the long way home may just be the scenic route. And that even the dirt roads can lead you to beautiful destinations.
Okay, we're going to make this edition of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club a little bit more interactive. Sing along, sing the happy birthday song as we introduce you to tonight's recipients. Go for it. Happy birthday wishes going out tonight to Jessica Paulo, love Mom, Dad, Boo, and the entire family. Happy birthday also to Matthew Daniel Cabrera Chargaloff. Happy 14th birthday, Matt. This comes from Mom, Dad, your siblings, and the entire family. Also, happy birthday to Kiowani Mendiola. Happy birthday to our grandson. May our Heavenly Father bless you and make all your birthday wishes come true. Love you always. Say Papa, Mom, and your entire family. And what would the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club be without some belated birthday wishes? We want to say happy birthday to Peter Sablan, coming from the Sablan and Padilla familias. We love you, they say. And happy birthday wishes going out tonight to the very lovely Susan Unpinko. Happy birthday to you. Good job, everybody. Outstanding.
And you can be a part of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club. Just check us out on KUAM.com.
Okay, well, what's coming up tonight in the mix?
You know what's coming.
Yeah, everybody on Facebook knows. We had like a little bit of a, let's just say, spirited competition.
Two highly competitive people playing a game a second.
We were playing video games.
Somebody got their butt kicked. It
wasn't
me.
Tune in to see who it might be.
Closed captioning is brought to you by IT&E.